Very much all for reading out the paragraphs. Very interesting article, I believe. So before I get into the material, I just want to touch on the three aims of today's class. One is to understand the psychology of the follower, right? A cult, it says in the article that TED has a cultish feel to it, and a cult it always has followers, right? Can you name a cult, Junko-san? Cult? Kanto. Can you name one? Yeah, that's also a cult. Okay, so it has this kind of feeling like it's a cult. What distinguishes a cult from a different organization? Well, I think the followers don't really think so critically about what's going on within the cult. So, yes, people do say that TED is almost like a cult. So, I want to look at the psychology of the follower. Okay. Now, the second aim of today's lesson is to look at Silicon Valley culture. Okay, Silicon Valley is a very unique place in the world. It's not like London, it's not like Tokyo. It's these are the people who design the apps that you use every day, right? Your Facebooks, your Twitters, and so forth. They have their own culture, and I think we can kind of look into their culture and see what they do and what kind of ideas they have. And finally, to exercise critical thinking, this is probably the most important part. We have to take the information and look at it from different angles to decide whether what's being presented is actual fact or if it's something else, if it's just a presentation or if it's actually a reflection of reality. I think these are key questions that we need to ask, and so we need to exercise our critical thinking faculties. Okay, so let me get into the lesson. Line 5. Once a select forum of the great and good, the Technology, Entertainment and Design Conference now has millions of avid online fans. How did an elite idea-sharing gathering go mainstream? Falling animals, misbehaving toddlers, and footage of Justin Bieber may populate the bulk of any YouTube most viewed list. But amid the viral clips and pop music promos is a series of videos that seems to go against all received wisdom about what online art audiences like to consume. So what do you think online audiences like to consume? Elisa. On YouTube.
I don't understand the question.
Okay. So, on YouTube, what do people like to watch?
People like to watch?
Yes.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, for example, in general, what kind of videos are popular? どういうビデオが人気ありますか?
面白い。
Yes.
Music.
Music videos. Okay. Justin Bieber. Anyone else? Daisuke-san.
Drama, overseas drama.
Drama. Yes.
Is it
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine. Drama. Hisami-san.
I'm watching cookings or animals, funny animals video things like that, or lectures.
Yes. YouTubers.
Yeah, YouTubers, yes.
YouTubers. Gangnam Style. You know Gangnam Style? You don't know this one?
I know.
Pineapple Pen.
Uh,
Right. So, alongside these favourites of YouTube, there's this kind of juggernaut, which is TED, which kind of pops out videos all the time, and these videos are incredibly popular, right? So how is it that people on YouTube are watching, on the surface, all these kind of entertainment-related videos of cats or of YouTubers, and then on the other hand, you have a hugely popular educational sort of resource called TED. So I just wanted to kind of draw a comparison between what's popular on YouTube from an entertainment standpoint and what's popular on YouTube from an educational standpoint. Okay, line 12. Their tone is sunnily optimistic, go-getting, and Californian, with titles like Information is Food, Crowdsource Your Health, and Inventing is the Easy Part. They feature luminaries such as Stephen Hawking, J.K. Rowling, and Bono delivering 18-minute lectures about big ideas, technology, culture, the environment, science, social trends. Yet, although there is not a lolcat in sight, the YouTube channel of the TED conference has attracted nearly 112 million views. Now, this was written in 2012. Now the channel has attracted over 1 billion views. So it's grown a lot since that time. 18. The talks have a habit of catching on hayaru. TED attendees were given a preview of Al Gore's lecture on climate change, later popularized in An Inconvenient Truth. Biologist Richard Dawkins' 2002 lecture on militant atheism laid the groundwork for the arguments set out in his hugely controversial book, The God Delusion. Others have entered the realms of the downright strange, such as when Microsoft founder Bill Gates unleashed live mosquitoes into the auditorium during a talk on malaria, because there's no reason why only poor people should have the experience. The insects were not infected. So what does this sort of gimmickry remind you of, Minako-san?
So what's gimmick?
Gimmick is なんか、まあ、からくりみたいな。Gimmick. Gimmickry. What does this sort of gimmickry remind you of? Gimmick is like a 仕掛け or kind of karakuri. Yuki-san?
Do you mean how did gimmick attract audience? Do you mean, I don't get your question yet.
What does this gimmickry remind you of? What is it? Where do you see this type of gimmickry
I think
other than
it's-
on TED?
Yeah, without, no, I mean, the speaker tried to attract audience in their way, and I guess not only making speech, but also using this gimmick, even approach to your five sense. One of my favorite TED talk was about VR, virtual reality, and his contribute or audience the carbon glasses to watch VR, and then they could download the video through online in the conference, and they set their own smartphone into the cardboard glasses, so they could see 3D video in that conference, and there are also big screen to show 3D video to user of TED application, and I was very attracted by the TED talk because it's not only speaking, and we can experience it. So, see, I'm a big fan of TED talk.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think this type of gimmickry. I think it's sort of reminiscent of, for example, American Idol or X Factor. It's not something that it's more like what you're describing is more like a product presentation rather than a serious lecture.
It was a serious lecture in the end, I believe, because what I picked up from that talk was we can share, we can even feel fear in the war. He shared a video which is in Afghanistan, so we can see whom we never be able to meet, and we can experience different kind of world. So, that's not like Voice or X Factor kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, what I liken it to is more like showmanship, right? Showmanship is all about entertainment, I think. So this kind of thing, performance is, well, it's more like theatre or circus, something like that. This is all part of the entertainment realm, and they're bringing entertainment into education, I believe. So, for me, this type of gimmickry is, this is part of entertainment, and they're bringing this thing into TED, into education. So it's kind of, you don't know whether it's educational or whether it's entertainment. I think the distinction is becoming more and more blurred. But yeah, I understand the VR goggle thing sounds really cool. Okay, line 26. It's an impressive level of public interest in an event sneered at by detractors as an expensive talking shop come network event for latte-wielding, iPad-clutching, West Coast blue sky thinkers. What this means is that the TED is kind of disliked by detractors like me who don't get invited to these events and who drink Starbucks, who have iPads, skinny jeans, that sort of thing. Okay, line 28. Indeed, the gathering at which the talks are filmed would appear to run counter to Evie's principle on which the online era of interactivity is supposed to be based. To attend the next TED Global Conference in Edinburgh from 25th to 29th of June, potential attendees must apply for $6,000 of annual membership fees. Lectures are entirely one way, delivered by the speaker to the audience with no Q&A sessions. But to be accepted, applicants must be judged likely to be a strong contributor to the TED community. The ideas discussed at TED and the projects that come out of the conference. So I think this paragraph it shows the key point about TED. What is TED in a nutshell? In a nutshell means 一言で言うと in a nutshell. What is TED in a nutshell? Yes, Hisami-san? Based on what you find in this paragraph from 30 to 34.
One person performance.
Okay, one person performance. Sure. But in this paragraph I'm talking about, in this paragraph they're not talking about one person performance, but they're talking about the selection process and so forth. What is this about? What is TED all about? Junko-san.
In one word?
Yes. If you can, yeah. Polish. Polish?
Like which people can,
Well,
only people can do it.
this is the word I think you're looking for, is curation. Or rather, it's curated. What does it mean? What does curated mean? That's what, polish, you said? Did you say polish? What did you say? What was the one word?
Posh.
Posh. Oh, okay. I think posh. Posh. Posh is different, I think. Elitist, I understand. Posh is a little bit different. Posh is
What
English.
does that mean? Posh.
Posh is typically a British person from an upper class upbringing who speaks a very particular way. But elitist is a little bit different. That elitist includes other cultures and so forth. But I think the one word that kind of summarizes TED is that it's curated. But what does curated mean? Does anybody know? curated, to curate means to select, right? You have a whole bunch imagine that you're all possible TED speakers, right? And I'm the curator. And I just choose who gets to speak, right? That's TED. Imagine you're all, the audience, you all have $6,000 to spend to come to an event, but I only choose 2 of you. That's TED, right? So TED is all about selecting which talks, what themes, who's going to be in the audience, right? So it's a curated event. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind when watching a TED video. And this is not as open as people believe it to be. Of course, you can watch it on YouTube, sure, but the selection process, the themes, and the audience are very carefully selected, and that makes it curated. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. It depends on your opinion, but if the curator is somebody like you, then maybe you'll like that. But if the curator is not somebody who you share views with, then maybe you won't. So yes, just keep that in mind, curated. Okay, that's what TED is, in my opinion. Line 35. However, internet users accustomed to open access information seem scarcely put off by these barriers. TED has 2 million likes on Facebook and its own online social network, TED Community, with 120,000 members. The answer lies in the decision by TED curator Chris Anderson in 2006 to upload videos of the event on its TED Talks site, as well as on YouTube and iTunes, opening up this unashamedly exclusive event to public consumption. For many, indeed, TED has become more than just an online educational resource. It is a hobby, an identity, a key part of one's social networking profile. Ray Wilmoth, 33, a footwear buyer from Muswell Hill, North London, is typical of the conference's many Facebook fans. A regular online viewer of the talks for 4 years, he cannot ever imagine spending thousands to attend an event in person. But he does enjoy being part of a community forged around ideas. People like to feel like they're part of a tribe, he says. It's about how you identify as a person. I don't think that's a bad thing. I've heard people say it's a bit like a cult. But the difference between TED and being in church is that all the talks are verifiable by science. It's done within the spirit of critical thinking. The first TED event took place in 1984. Since then, the non-profit organization has branched out beyond its annual conferences in Long Beach and Palm Springs in California. So, from line 35 to 52, it's, they're talking about how people kind of relate to TED. So let me ask the question, why do you think people like TED? Mamiko-san. Why do people like TED?
Why?
Doesn't have to be everyone, but the people who do like TED.
I mean, the other opinions as that you wrote it down on the board.
Which one?
What makes it popular?
It's a little different from why do people like TED.
Okay.
This is about popularity, but this is about people who really, really like TED. So, okay, maybe you're the wrong person to ask. Yuki-san, why do people like TED?
So many membership of TED community. do you know
Hmm?
why not ordinary people, but the member from the community? Are you asking,
My question is, why do you like TED?
do I?
Yes.
Yeah, I personally like TED because they are global thought, and I don't know. It's people in TED are very different from me, and they have different background. I've never been able to experience. And when I often check TED, that time I have something trouble with my emotion or issue, family issue, and I check up TED because they might have similar experience like me, so they might be give me some solution for my issue. And if I have only one way to think always, so I have to I have to confuse my brain sometimes. I have always way to go, but I want to get something different way because I continuously have the same mistake. So that means my way is wrong, or I have to improve with some idea. So that's why I like TED. It's
Okay.
helping me.
Okay. Anyone else likes TED? Yeah? Okay.
If
Yes.
I may.
Yes, okay. But you don't know about TED
I
so,
don't know.
until you came on.
But just as you said that it's rated, so the people who like TED, they chosen the really, how to say, the right person for speaker that given the information. So I think they like more.
They like
They like,
the polished aspect of it, like the cleanliness.
and also the information that, because that you said creative, means that the speakers are very selected for the speakers or membership. That's why I think.
Well, it's polished.
Polish-
What's in there, is that-
I see.
Is
Yes.
that what you mean? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Kayako-san.
Yes, as written on line 46, people like to feel like they are part of a tribe. So, or line 42, a key part of one's social networking profile.
So, the social aspect.
Yes.
So, okay, I think this is one reason we can kind of group it together. I think this kind of, emotional help, I think we can kind of group it together and say that maybe people, do you think people like to feel like they are part of an intellectual community? Do you think that's right?
Yes.
Okay. What else? Any other reasons?
Just want to say I'm not like the person who are looking for social aspect. I'm not,
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying you are.
because I feel like you are leading to your own conclusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
That is cult.
And another things I just
Yes.
wanted that I think for English speaker, not for just getting those information, the people who want to learn English, they want more.
Yeah.
Um,
Japanese.
Well, why is TED a good resource for learning English then?
Variety of information.
But you can find information anywhere. It doesn't have to be TED, it could be a documentary, it could be a documentary about animals.
But it
Nature
sounds
Channel.
like 80 minutes, it's just right some length of the
Okay.
materials.
And also there is a script for each speech which you can download. So if you miss any phrases, you can actually go back to check the script.
Oh, because it's translated.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna add something here about the 18-minute thing. You get educated in small mouthfuls. Bite-sized. Right. I think that's one big draw of people who want to feel educated but don't want to do the hard work, the hard graft of actually researching
Yeah.
and testing science. Right? 18 minutes, is that enough to really learn about something? Or is that just a presentation? Another thing about TED that people say is that it's sometimes utopian, right? How many times do you hear, oh, we're gonna save lives, or we're gonna save the world? Daisuke-san, you hear this often? We're going to save the world with this great invention. We're going to change the climate change issues.
In daily life?
No, on TED.
On the answer. Not really.
You don't hear that?
Yeah.
I have I've watched several TED talks, and it seems that there is a kind of common theme that runs throughout it, which is a kind of utopian. Like, it puts so much faith into technology that people believe that technology is the answer for everything. And I don't think that's really tested in TED. But again, you know, it feels good, doesn't it? So I think all of this, I think people like to feel good. You're welcome to disagree with me. You're welcome to challenge me. But I think people won't really watch it if it didn't feel good. Now, feeling good is very important for me, I think, because it's just the nature of people. But if you go to a lesson or something and you didn't understand it, it doesn't feel good. You feel silly, you feel stupid, and your confidence is undermined. Am I right? Yes, but you know, the format of TED, I think it's designed so that people will kind of take away from that and they say, oh, I understood it. That makes me feel good. Doesn't it feel good to understand something, Inori-san? Right, so I believe that this is kind of some of the themes of TED and why people end up liking TED, because they watch it once and then they understood what the speaker's talking about, it was well delivered, and they got something out of it. But I don't believe that's what science is really about. What is science really about, Inori-san?
Science about
Science. What is science about?
science.
Yes. Or learning. Maybe learning should. What is learning about?
Learning is maybe do myself and taking time.
Taking time.
Or maybe trial and error.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes. You trial and error. You test something. If it works, if it doesn't work, then you've got the wrong answer. You find your own path, I think. And I don't think, science, when I say science, I also mean learning. I don't think learning is all about just getting a package delivered to your door, to your computer, and watching a video. Have you really learned anything? You may know something that you didn't know before, but have you really learned something? I think there's an important distinction between the two. Because just watching something and learning, just watching something and getting information, it could be about a movie or something, right? It's no different. But the process of learning is much, much messier and harder and much more laborious. It's hard work, you know, you have to use your brain. It's not fun for most people. So I think there's a little difference. And I think TED is probably about feeling good. What do you think? What do you say, Yuki-san?
To tell the truth, I'm trying to make a speech in the other club. So TED helps me sometimes to clear my thought, because they have a skill to tell their own thought. I feel good when I listen to TED, especially when I have something trouble. That's release my stress. Not only that.
It's okay. I'm not saying that it's, you know, I'm not saying TED is horrible. I'm just trying to kind of expose what it really is. I think.
In short amount of time, the speech has to be really very organized.
Yes.
So, and then if you're gonna be a speaker, you have more benefit because you can learn how to make a speech, how to look back your own life sometimes, and it's helped someone. I expect I can help somebody with my speech, and I found some audience of my speech have tears sometimes. So they have something trouble like me. So in each stage we have someone who there must be someone who can help, and doesn't matter that thought is not sophisticated or still immature. That doesn't matter to the people who are on the same stage. So it's like, yeah, helping each other to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But is that science?
It's a science. No, it's human.
Yeah.
Humanity, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
But TED is often presented as a part of education, right? I don't know if.
I have different glasses to see that.
Okay. Fair enough. So TED is about the learning method. Well, the way that TED is delivered is a unilateral method. Unilateral means ippoteki, right? So the speaker will, you know, give a talk in front of 100 or so people. I don't know how many people go. What's the problem with this type of learning? Takahumi-san, welcome.
Maybe it's difficult to question back the lessons or ideas presented.
And if it's difficult to question the speaker, what is the problem with that?
Even if it's not like proved or based on the facts, people just believe, you know, by watching the videos or how they feel it's comfortable or credible.
Without questions, there's no real way to test or verify what the speaker is saying. So it's very good that Yuki-san said to me, "Oh no, you're looking at it from a very biased perspective." But in a TED conference, you would not be given the chance to say that, right? But it's very important for there to be some dialogue between the person speaking and the people who are being spoken to, right? So I think this is missing, which means that the critical thinking aspect is taken out of this method of learning. Critical thinking is about asking questions and trying to get closer to the truth, and this is missing. I think these are some of the. This is one problem with TED, I think. Let's move on. Line 54. As well as the yearly TED Global Fairs in Edinburgh, there are TED India and TED Women events, as well as a yearly $100,000 TED Prize. Fans are permitted to stage their own events under the TEDx banner. The paradox of TED is that it's the most elitist organization for ideas, and at the same time one of the most open, says blogger, academic, and media consultant Jeff Jarvis. This apparent paradox has been the focus of many critics. Despite this, TED's European director Bruno Giussani, who curates TED Global, insists there is no contradiction between the ideals of openness and the price tag. The conferences are exclusive and expensive, he acknowledges. But the revenue they generate pays for everything else. So, would you pay for a TED Talk? Kaori-san. Okay, well, I'll ask him first. Kaiko-san,
Yes.
would you pay for a TED Talk? $6,000. If you had the money, would you do it?
If I have money, yeah, maybe.
Yes?
Yes.
But this is a non-profit, right? Why not just give that $6,000 to somebody, some local charity? Isn't that something that's, more for, good for society instead of ideas that are worth spreading? So, obviously it's just a counterfactual question. What if you had $6,000 to spend on TED? So it makes you wonder about the people who go to these events. Why do they spend so much money on this? Very difficult to understand, I believe, when you are asked this question. Line 63. The web has expanded the amount of silliness out there, but also the amount of seriousness. What TED reveals is that there's clearly a big thirst out there for different ways of sharing knowledge. This market was underserved and we tapped into it. So what market does TED serve? Inori-san.
Excuse me.
What market does TED serve?
It's market.
Yes.
Technology.
Technology markets. Okay. So tech market.
Not certain specific things.
Well. Yeah, something a little bit more specific would be nice, yes. When we think of market, we think about consumers. What kind of consumers does TED serve? That's probably a better question. What kind of consumers? Do you sure?
Which side?
Hmm?
Which side? Presenter or viewers?
The viewer, yes.
Viewers.
Yes.
Oh, rich people.
No, that's the people who come to the events. But I'm talking about the whole, from a global perspective. Right, 1 billion people watched this, watched TED videos, right? So what kind of what market does that serve? I'm talking about kind of not personality, but a certain human nature that TED fulfills. When he says this market was underserved, we tapped into it. When you say we tapped into it, it means kind of you tap into a human part of human psychology, a kind of innate need of people.
So someone who wants to feel good.
Feel good, feel smart.
Smart.
I think. Feel good is right, but I think TED probably serves the market that people need to feel. People want to feel smart. Does anybody disagree with me, or does anybody? I'm open to it. What do you think, Mamiko-san?
I agree with that.
You agree with that? Okay. And the niche, I believe, the niche, is educational showmanship, right? So, I don't know, obviously I don't, you know, I'm not really a big consumer of TED, but a lot of people are, and I think you'll find a certain type of person who appreciates this product. And it's important to kind of understand the psychology, what's going on. So let's move on to line 66. Not everyone, however, buys into the overarching philosophy of TED. Some take issue with the very concept of a VIP event that less well-funded web browsers are invited to gaze into from the outside. For social media theorist Nathan Jurgensen, the exclusivity undermines any lofty ambitions of idea sharing. The basic idea of smart ideas being presented in a way that's accessible is a great one, but all you get from TED are the ideas of Silicon Valley. And I just want to add here that, make no mistake, this is an export of Silicon Valley culture. Right? This is Silicon Valley culture that you kind of consume, this entrepreneurial, utopian, we believe in technology. This is part of Silicon Valley culture. And I think it has a strong appeal because Silicon Valley is unlike any other place on earth. Right? It's where all the really talented engineers go to develop apps, software, programs. And there's a strong distinction. It's almost seen as a kind of intellectual mecca, right? Does everyone agree with that? Is there any other place on the planet which generates as much innovation? Daisuke-san.
I don't come up with.
Can you think of any other kind of areas where you think of places like tech innovation?
In India, there are so smart people, but I have never heard that India has provided very good app or something.
Mm.
So
Well, they have a lot of people in Bangalore, I think. And that's kind of a tech mecca, but it's not exactly Hollywood, is it? It's more Bollywood than Hollywood. Right? How about you, Masao-san? Where's the kind of tech mecca of Japan?
Akihabara?
I think that's a long time ago. Now it's more of a made mecca, isn't it? So I think the fact that it's a part of Silicon Valley culture and that we can view it and we can kind of consume it, it has a big draw because it's not a culture that we're really, we get to see on a daily basis, and we don't really get to experience it. In Tokyo, we don't have this kind of Silicon Valley entrepreneurial, innovative, tech-focused culture, right? So it's you get a piece of that, you get a taste of that, I think. Line 73, it has a cultish feel to it. The speakers use a lot of terms like magical and inspirational. It's almost a religion of the knowledge class. Certainly there are overtones of the after-dinner motivational speech in many of TED's most popular talks. But for its enthusiasts, the very fact it has induced such a wide audience to engage with often complicated ideas makes it a force for good. It is elitist, but thank goodness the best bits are there online for everyone to see, says philosopher Alain de Botton, who has delivered talks at 2 TED events. Unless you are a keen networker from Silicon Valley, the punters at home are getting the best bits. And indeed, it's not difficult to conclude that the sense of belonging to a privileged elite is, consciously or otherwise, a significant part of the appeal for many TED fans with little prospect of ever actually attending a conference. So, yes, let me move on. Line 86. They fancy themselves as smarter because they know TED, says Johns. It's a status marker. You have the people who are inside TED and the people who are around TED, the fans watching at home and people who are outside TED and mock it. Mok means to kind of fujoku. Hasn't it always been thus? We always want to look through the keyhole, and Chris Anderson knows that. It has increased the value of the brand. If he is correct, then even TED's fiercest critics are a crucial component of the TED experience. The big idea juggernaut rolls on. Okay, I have a question here. What does being smart even mean? On line 86, it says they fancy themselves as smarter because they know TED. What does it mean? What does smart mean? We have to define it. Because we can't have people saying that they're smart because they watch the TED video. What does it mean? Smart. What is smart? What does it mean to be smart?
Maybe intellectual.
What does it mean to be intellectual? This is just
yeah,
a word.
Sure, maybe have more knowledgeable.
Knowledge?
Maybe philosophy, psychology, like any academical area, like people.
Okay, so knowledge across broad domains. Okay. Anyone challenge that?
We succeeded.
Huh?
We succeeded.
Successful?
Oh, successful.
Success, what, you be rich?
Not rich, but like other speakers, what was it? Bill Gates or who else?
Bono?
So,
Bono.
so I think not as a result they become rich, but really succeeded for some ways, business or other areas or some aspect.
Success in life. In life.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to challenge any of these assumptions about what it means to be what it means to be smart, please. Does knowledge always mean that you're smart?
Smart sounds a little bit insulting to people who have big head or
Big head.
Big, I don't know how to say.
Bookworms.
I don't know. 頭でっかち。
Oh. Big heads.
Big.
Or kind of arrogant.
Arrogant, yes, arrogant.
Or kind of.
But to me, some speakers are very just wise, not smart. Smart sounds a little bit different from my opinion. And wise people have own opinion. They went through their own experience. And doesn't matter whether or not people agree with their idea, but they have certain conclusion in their life, and they just want to show that.
This is wise people you're talking about.
Yeah. So smart is like looking down on people who have arrogance. To me.
So when people feel that they're smarter, they become arrogant by definition. You say.
In this discussion, I felt so.
Okay. Cool. Minako-san.
I think capable to understand wide range of fields.
Okay, knowledge or kind of understanding across broad domains, yeah?
Yes, yes. Sometimes it's not true, just they feel like being capable to understand. But no one knows they really understand, completely understand, or deeply.
It could be superficial. Okay. Anyone else?
Smart.
Yes.
IQ.
high IQ. Sure. Anything else? Noma-san?
Actually, I don't really know. I don't really know the difference between smart and wise in English definition.
Okay.
To me, it's very similar. Same. Is it true?
Well, wisdom it connotes experience, and experience is independent of intelligence, I think. So a wise man is usually an old man, right? Somebody who has seen a lot, who has experienced it a lot. So can kind of identify patterns from experience based on previous experience. But I think intelligence is different, very different.
Would you say like street smart person, like wise?
I would say so.
In a way.
Yes, I would say street smart is a very good word. I've never been able to find the Japanese translation of street smart. Could you?
You see like SQ, like social kind of intelligence, but let me Google that later.
Can you spell the word for us? I don't know the word. I've never heard the word. What he said.
Street smart.
Yeah,
Street?
just
Street smart. Street smart.
Street smart. Wow.
For example, street smart is like when you know that when you can kind of sense that maybe the Yakuza is trying to kind of set you up. That's kind of street smart. A guy with no street smarts will just walk into a shop in Kabukicho and just get fleeced out of his money. Okay, so that's I would say this is probably more kind of wisdom based. Right. What else about what does it mean to be smart? Kari-san.
The image of smart, the word smart is something like people who can get along with the world, other people.
So social intelligence.
Very well.
Okay. Well, it seems that everybody has a little bit little different ideas of what it means, what smart even means, which is interesting, because that kind of changes the way that people look at something like TED. For me, being smart is obviously has a kind of logical thinking process, right? Or rational thinking process as well. Somebody who is able to recognize patterns much quicker than other people. Right? So if there's a list of numbers here, most people cannot really make sense of the numbers if there's a long list, but some people who are smart, really smart, I think they can immediately see the patterns between the numbers. So something like that, for me, constitutes smartness and intelligence. So I think you said something very interesting, Riki-san. Smartness and wisdom is different, right? So does TED make you smarter?
No.
Does it make you wiser?
Yeah.
Interesting. So maybe people who watch TED are a little bit wiser. It doesn't necessarily make you smarter, but it makes you wiser about the world, which I 100% agree with.
I don't particularly watch any kind of TED talk related to technology, science only. I like something a little bit different, like Prisoner or veterans. I have one friend who used to be in military service and then he got injury, so I wanted to understand what's the PTSD or what's the problem in his brain now. And I could find really few, but still it's helpful to me to understand what is his situation now.
Yeah. Well, okay, I mean, medicine is also
Yeah.
science and technology is related, I think. It's all education related. So, just want to kind of, is TED a useful educational resource? Asa, from what you've, yes, is it a useful educational resource?
Educational resource.
Mm. Yes, no,
Not really.
not really? Okay. Anyone else have an opinion on this? Is TED a useful educational resource?
To get an information, I think yes.
Uh-huh. To get information. Okay. Yes. And anyone else?
It is useful, but I never take all. I never agree with everything,
Mm.
and I even saw some totally opposite idea in same topic, like nuclear power.
Mm.
I found someone talking about nuclear is harmful, but other one said it's the only solution. Like I like comparing with different opinion in TED Talk.
Very interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the view that TED is, it can be a good, it can be, is being the key term here. For myself, I delivered a lesson last year on filter bubbles, which was great. Somebody delivered a great TED talk on this topic. Do you remember what the filter bubble was? Yes, it's about the idea of algorithms dominating our information on Facebook, which kind of makes us look at our world as a bubble, and we stay within that bubble. And I found that really interesting, the concept of it. But I had to take more time to dig deeper and to really find out real life applications of filter bubbles and where it really happened. Right? You can't just take somebody's word for it. You have to test it, I think. And that's when the real learning takes place. So TED does deliver a lot of wisdom, a lot of good ideas. But just watching TED and just kind of from the armchair, you become an armchair academic. You know what that is? Armchair academic, right? So you have to go out and kind of test what you learn, because you cannot learn, there's a limit to what you can learn in 20 minutes for most people, right? And from a limited information source. So I think that TED can be a useful educational resource. Yes, and I think there's probably too many people who are armchair academics in our generation. What do you think, Marcel-san? Do you see a lot of people like this?
Yes, I think so, and I'm the one of them.
Okay. I see. Well, I encourage you to go out and seek your own, do your own research, because that's what. Yes. And I think I want to kind of talk about the feeling good aspect of it as well. TED has a certain presentation format. I think usually you find, of course, the gimmickry. There's always somebody doing some kind of body language like this. Just it seems like it seems facetious, not facetious, but it seems like fake a little bit. But the exaggerated body language is one part of it. I'm just going to write this down. Exaggerated. 過剰な body language. Such as?
I don't really think so.
Why not? Do you always speak? Do you always have like conversations with people where you're just kind of?
Yeah, in the presentation, it said it's
It's a presentation.
Yeah, this is presentation. So
Yes. This is the TED format. Okay. It's okay. I'm coming to a different conclusion. There's usually a kind of personal story, right? The speaker's own testimonial, if you like, the experience of the world, and then there's an epiphany. Epiphany is like kind of the where the idea came from, the moment they saw the truth. So this is the TED format, and the trouble with this, for me, is that all of this is kind of a rhetorical device. Rhetorical is a shujiteki. Shujiteki. No. Shikumi. Right. So you say this, the body language thing, you say that's normal, but it's also a rhetorical device to try to persuade people, right? So, is it really? It's education, but it's also a presentation, right? So I think it's important to kind of distinguish. Remember, just when you watch a TED talk, just when you see all these crazy hand movements, just remember that this is kind of they've received very professional body language training, right? So to prepare them for the talk, but that's not really related to the information contained in the talk, right? It's separate. So I think it's important to keep that. And the other aspect about it feeling good. I mean, yes, it's great to feel good, but what you really need for technological innovation, real technological innovation, is skepticism. Skepticism, do you know what that means? Anybody?
Doubts?
Who said that? Doubts.
Doubts.
なんだ何でも丸飲みしない？なんだろう。基本的に何も信用しない？ That kind of attitude is what you need for technological innovation, and what I believe. Well, it's not I believe, but that's how science is done, through peer reviews, right? If you have a medical innovation, you're going to submit that to a journal, and then other scientists will question it. They will poke holes in it. I know I've done it before. I've submitted experiments for a friend of mine to be peer reviewed, and it goes through a very intensive test. People ask questions. What happened in this situation? Was this reliable? So science is based on skepticism, which is basically what learning is all about. And I don't think TED is really designed to kind of provide this sort of thinking. It's more about inspiration and feeling. So, is TED good for society? Opinions?
Yes, it is very good for society. And even that format is very useful for business presentations. If you watch the video of TED, which says how you look smart on TED, so the presenter explains how you should exaggerate and how you show non-meaning graphs on the background, and just speak like a Steve Jobs.
You're biting her lip. She's
That's so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's really depend on how are you gonna use this tool to education yourself or be wise, I would like to say. if you see this TED as your fake knowledge, you're gonna be just fooled. But if you think deeper with the TED Talk and you've experienced in your life, as he said, it's gonna be good for society. And then it's like reading book, same as reading book. Some are really wise, some are just the same as you, and some might be full. But still, you can feel the person is sincere or he is talking about superficial stuff, and we should feel the difference in each talk. That's definitely helps society, not being fake smart person.
Yeah, so it depends on the user.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
it's
scissors, right?
Yeah,
Fires.
that's totally depending on people's aim to watch TED.
Yeah, it really depends on how you use it, and I
Yeah.
think there's you can draw many lessons from TED. You don't have to just take the TED talk. You can look at everything around it, the way that it's managed, the beautiful body language, the slick design. You can take lessons from that, and also about psychology, right? Looking at how people behave and how people have this
Yeah.
need to feel smart. Right? If you make people feel smart, then I think that makes people feel good, and that can be good for business, as you say. So there's many things that you can learn from TED. Anyone else want to kind of weigh in on the argument? Is TED good for society? Mayu-san?
I think as long as if that makes someone happy, then that would be good for society.
Happiness.
Happiness.
If it makes very nicely put, very simple. If it makes you happy, then it's got to be good for society. Okay, that's I can't argue with that, I guess. Anyone? Well, I think there's a few things here. I mean, ideas worth spreading is the slogan of TED. But who decides which ideas are worth spreading? Chris Anderson? I don't know. I don't know this guy, but the way he runs his business or his non-profit business, don't really like it so much. Because I'm sure he's getting some good salary out of it. So I don't know. Who decides it? I have to trust I have to really trust the person who's spreading ideas, and that person needs to be answerable and accountable. I think they have to answer questions about certain things. And there's been some events where the TED curator was criticized for censoring. Censoring is, how do you say it in Japanese? Censoring? Censor.
お知らせします。まもなくご利用時間が終了となります。
Yes. Censoring っていうのはなんかこれ書いて
検閲じゃないですかね。
Yes, sorry. There has been some candidates that TED has been criticized of. So I think we need to be mindful of that. And also, Mamiko-san said, you said, it's good that people feel happy, which is it's fine. But, how can it be good enough that people feel smarter, without actually having done the research themselves? You're actually, people just watch TED and then they feel smarter. They're basically outsourcing their thinking to something like TED, right? So I don't know if that's really good for progress in terms of, how much somebody learns. Again, if you just fall into this trap of just watching video and then feeling good, then you become an armchair academic, which is probably not a very happy place to be. And finally, I don't, the having blind faith in technology, that technology can solve all of our world's problems, is a problem because, religion is kind of similar like that. The religion is people kind of relate to it without questioning it. The people who really believe in religion, but people who believe in technology say it's based on critical thinking, like this guy Ray, right? I think that's almost like replacing religion with technology without actually doing the research. So what I'm trying to say, I think the main takeaway is to not to be skeptical. I think this is a word that I love. Skepticism. Don't believe everything you hear, right? And exercise your critical thinking capacity. TED is TED, but I think people relate to it in different ways, and there's definitely something you can get out of TED. So yes, stay critical, guys. Thank you very much for coming today. どうもありがとうございました。Yes, the lesson's based on donations, so if you enjoyed it, please leave something in the box. If not, no problem at all. The next lesson will be in 2 weeks' time, and I will announce it in due course. ありがとうございました。Did I?
Fix everything and then gas and chairs and then pages and information.
Really? It's been a while since we came. You always RSVP, but you never come. It's okay.
Like ミートアップだったので、なんかこうフレンドリーな感じでクラスやるなかと思って結構真面目でびっくりしました。
Thank you.
久しぶりですよね。そうです。マサさんのも言ったし、多分80sカフェでも。あ、そうです。1月ちょっとあまりお客さんの方に清潔感だみたいなツッコミを受けて。そうです。営業で行くときにおひげがちょっと微妙みたいな話を。そうなんです。結構長かった。そうですね。結んだりして。話に始めちゃった。Thank you very much, さん。どうもありがとうございました。Thank you. Take care. Bye. 話す必要があるんだ。確かに。間違ってもいいんだ。It's okay.